Hello and welcome to a short tutorial series of how to play, well, I don't know if it's going to be short. We'll figure that out later. Welcome to the tutorial series of how to play Spaceship Architect. Spaceship Architect is a game by 26 Letter Publishing. My name is Zombie Mouse and I am the sole proprietor or something of 26 Letter. Basically, I wrote the book. Anyways, here's the character sheet. And if you're watching this video, I would like to teach you how to play Spaceship Architect. So, first things first, I would like to get the dice system explained. Each character will have 6 attributes. It is strength, health, perception, dexterity, luck, charisma, intellect, and willpower. Each one of these attributes is going to have up to 4 dice in them. This top row represents 1 die. The second row represents a second die. Third and 4. So each row represents a die. The strength of those dice, it goes from left to right. You will fill in the dice like so. Like if I had like a D10 in strength, it would just treat it like a meter. It would just go up to D10. So anyways, you purchase dice. You can have up to 4d4. I mean, you can start off with just 2d4 or something. That's like the minimum. But then you can purchase more dice for each attribute. So let's do some examples for dice rolling. Let's say I have purchased 3d6 in an attribute. Let's just throw in an extra, let's just 3d6 and a d8. Let's just do that. Roll the dice, and you take the top 2 dice. So let's say we rolled a 6 and a 4. That would mean our total is 10. Easy. You never add more than the top 2 dice. However, there is something called die fusion. And what dice fusion is, when you roll a dice and you get, well, that's a perfect example. If you roll dice and you get a pair, here I got a pair of 6s and a pair of 2s, you no longer treat them as individual dice. You basically you fuse them together. So in this case, 6 and 6 fuse together to be 12, and this 2 and 2 fuse together to be 4. So I just got a score of 16. Try another example. Wow, okay, so everything rolled 2. They still only pair up in pairs. So this would be 4 plus 4 is 8. Let's try something where we don't get, okay, let's do that one. Let's see, we have 4, 4, 6, and 1. The 4s would fuse together, that would give you 8, and then the 6 would be the second highest die. So 6 plus 8 is 14. That's how dice fusion works, and that's pretty much every roll in the game besides damage is going to follow this structure. Maximum you could possibly have for any one attribute would be 4d12. Can't get any higher than that. So that is the extent of it. After you roll the dice, you add the 2 together, and then let's say you got an 8, then you look at your skill. Let's say you have a climb of 2, then you'd have a score of 10. The GM will give you a difficulty. Usually the difficulty is around, let me look in the book here. Here we are. Average difficulty is between 8 and 11. This camera's not cooperating with me. So, average difficulty is between 8 and 11. A simple difficulty is 6 or 7. It gets difficult around 12 to 14, and then 20 or higher is almost impossible, but it is possible because you can get fused dice, and that will, I mean, you could potentially have up to a score of 48 if you roll all 12s. And that's that. That's pretty much it. That's basic die rolls. So I'm gonna move on to character creation. Here is the character sheet. I'm gonna go step by step. Race and class we'll do later. Purchase attribute dice. During character creation, you start with 195 experience points to be purchased, exclusively to be purchased with attribute dice. So I have 195 points. So I'll write down 195. I'm just going to put it right here. Now each attribute says free for the 2d4s, so I'm just going to fill those in quick. Alright, so 195 points. Each dice will have a number on them. For example, right here in luck, you can see there's a bunch of numbers. Guess what? That's how much it costs to purchase those dice. So if I want an extra d4 in luck, it costs me 15 experience. 95 minus 15 is 180. I did math. So I have 180 points left over. Well, let's just go ahead and fill in some extra ones here. Okay, so I spent all 195 points. They all go in evenly. Alright, so here's my final dice. And this represents 2d6 in strength, 2d6 in health, 1d6 and 2d4 in perception, 1d8 and 2d4 in dexterity, 4d4 in luck, 2d4 in charisma, 2d4 in intellect, and 2d6 in willpower. Alright, let's go to the next step. Alright, so now we're going to purchase skills. You have 35 base points. You get additional points if you have high intellect. I only have 2d4 in my intellect, so I don't have any extra points. So I have 35 points. And now I'm going to distribute those amongst my skills. Level 1. Level 1 costs 1 point, level 2 costs 3 points, and level 3 costs 6 points. Got that? So if you have a skill at level 3, it costs a total of 6 points. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute these quick. So now, I just purchased these skills. I don't know if you can tell, but I put them to the left of this little decimal point. After you purchase these skills, you grab a d10 and you roll this for the decimal point. I will explain this later, but all skills have a decimal point. It has several uses and reasons to exist. So now I'm going to go ahead and roll a d10 and just go down the line, and I got a 2, so computer systems is 3.2, anatomy first aid is 2.4, awareness is 3.5, dodge block is 2.8, initiative is 2.6, melee, I rolled a 0. That does not count as a 10 during this step, and only during this step. So melee is 3.0. Cult, I got 4, 1.4. Projectiles, 2.7. Resist distress is 1.8. And weapon mechanics is 2.5. Alright, purchase the skills. Let's go on to the next section. Purchase skills, fill in stats, maximum hit points. Calculate your max HP. Take your health dice and add them together as if they rolled the maximum value and add 20. Alright, so I rolled my health dice and I got the maximum value would be 12. And I will add 20 to that. So my hit points are 32. The next step is move speed. Move speed starts off at 2. You get a bonus if you have a D10 in dexterity, which I don't, so my move speed is 2. So now we'll do reaction defense. For every D6 or higher, and every time it's upgraded in perception, you get +1. I have 1 D6 in perception, all the rest are 4s, so I only get a +1. If this was a D8, I'd get a +2 instead of a +1. If it was a D10, I'd get a +3. And if I had multiple D6s, I'd get a +1 for each of those. So basically, anything except the D4s, anything you fill in is going to give you a +1. So you take those. For my score, it's 1. And then I add my awareness, which is 3.5, which means my reaction defense is, that's right, kids, 4.5. Exertion. Exertion gets a bonus every D10 or higher in willpower. We don't have any D10s, so our exertion is 1. Oh, I forgot to fill in max HP is 32. So that's current HP, max HP. And guess what? We're done with character creation. I will call this guy YouTuber69. And then here's a bunch of information like your home planet and your physical description and your gender or whatever. Anyways, so that's all there is to character creation. I know it's kind of droned on, but I could probably do this in like 3 minutes. I mean, you just buy these, roll these, fill in like 4 things, and you're done. So, that's character creation. You're done. That's it. Except for purchasing stuff, and I'll do. Oh wait, no, it's not. Remember when I said I was going to come back to races and classes? I never did that, did I? So that's first. All right. So here's a list of classes. Each one is basically some sort of huge perk that your character gets. They're all self-explanatory. Basically, you pick one. You got a tactician, smuggler, sniper / scout, science officer, drifter, a spy. Spy sounds fun. I'll do a better example though. Engineer, gunner, heavy. What about ninja? Let's go with psychopath. Psychopath sounds fun. So psychopath gives you an advantage. The only time you're ever going to get advantages and disadvantages is during the purchasing races or classes. So the psychopath says you gain +8 experience after killing a character, any character, up to 3 times per session. Alright, so I'm just going to put kill equals +8 experience. Alright, now let's choose a race. There's a bunch of races in here. Oh, I should probably mention Spaceship Architect is a world... How long is this? 21 minutes? Spaceship Architect is world agnostic, meaning this book does not have a big set of lore for you to read. GMs make up their own lore. They make up their own worlds. So they can even make up their own races. You could just do this and play Star Wars or whatever. Not that you would. I mean, there's already a Star Wars role-playing game. But beside the point. Anyways, here's some random races that I created. Here's a bunch of races in the book. Fuck, I can't. How do I word this? So this book contains several races, and each one of them has a description of them and advantages and disadvantages. You can use them, you can omit them, you can do whatever you want. Let's be Flavelin. So let's just look at the disadvantages. Disadvantages, it says, if stunned by a light source, triple the duration. Dislikes bright environments. So if I remember these guys correctly, they have like really sensitive eyes. So I'm just gonna put ×3 light stun. And I'll just remember they dislike bright lights. That's not going to be hard to remember. Advantages. When rolling perception, always add an additional d12 to the dice pool. After character creation, I get to add a +2 in engineering, awareness, technology, vehicle mechanics, and weapon mechanics. For the advantage, I'm going to put +1d12 to per rolls. I'm going to put a little note on the sheet. Perception gets +1d12, so I remember. And then I get a bunch of bonuses to a bunch of skills. So engineering gets +2. Actually, that works a lot better. Engineering gets +2.0. Awareness gets +2, so that actually becomes 5.5. Technology gets 2. Vehicle mechanics gets 2. And weapon mechanics. So that's 4.5. Alright, so we got our race, we got our class, and that is how to create a character. Now let's get into the fun part. Spaceship Architect would not be Spaceship Architect without architecting some dang old spaceships. So let's architect some spaceships, shall we? That's the fun stuff. That's where you get to make a spaceship in a role-playing game. That's not bullshit. And the entire reason I made this game was so that after you created your starship, you would actually have a physical map which represents what you purchased. And it's not just some arbitrary, oh, you have this many hull points and blah, 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 blah. So, how do you make a starship? Starship Creation, page 21. So, starting credits. Spaceships cost money. That's like a huge part of Starship Creation, is how much money you have. Every player starts with 500 credits. In addition to this, all PCs cumulatively get a pool of 100,000 credits. And you use this to create your starship. So, we will start off. Here's a little pie chart of how much expenditures your ship should cost roughly. But you can completely ignore that if you want. So the first step is to purchase the hull. So we're going to draw our spaceship. Let's make it really simple for the purposes of this video. Now it says in the book, each hull square costs 1,000 credits. That's, you know, that's a little bit. That's a fair amount. So I'm going to draw something really basic, and we can change this later. I'm just going to draw. This is how you draw a starship. You just kind of make up something with squares. And we'll make it a little bit longer here. So I'm doing something really basic. So here's our starship. Alright. You can make it as complicated or as weird as you want. An example in the book's got this weird castle looking thing. What we're going to do with this. Alright, so now we count how much this costs. So that's 1, 2, 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 times 6 is 18. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So because each square costs 1,000 credits, that's 24,000 credits. So we subtract, I wish I had a calculator handy. I don't. I'm just going to keep track of how much I've spent so far. So we spent 24,000 out of 100,000. Next step. Now we purchase ship item cards. And to do that, first we have to purchase the essentials. The essentials, in order to be functional, a ship requires a bridge/cockpit. Ideally, you're going to want to have a binder, like the kind of binder you put magic cards in, and then put them all in separate categories based off of their item type. Alright, so here's our options for bridges. We got 4, 3, 2, 1, some cockpits. This is ship AI, that's totally different. Let's go with an actual bridge instead of a cockpit. Bridges are kind of like, you know, in Star Trek, the bridge. Let's go with the smallest one, bridge 1. Well, let's see. Yeah, we'll go bridge 1. These are a little more expensive. They have some extra bonuses to them. So, bridge 1. This is how you purchase your bridge. Step 1, take away the money. So I spent $25,000. This cost $1,000. It says the size is 2 by 2 EDG. EDG stands for edge. 2 by 2 is a 2 by 2 square. So basically a square of 4 squares. So I gotta find something, and because it says edge, I have to put it on the edge. I can't put it right here, for example, because that's not on the edge. It has to have a little window to look out of the ship. So we'll put it right here. This counts as the edge, so does this. So that's all you really need to do. So this is where our bridge is going to be. So we have the bridge. It says a small bridge for up to 3 crew members, which means that basically imagine in Star Trek, you're on the bridge, but there's only 3 seats. That's what that means. And that's going to become important later on during combat. Alright, so this allows video/audio communication to any detected vessel and includes a universal translator. So if you come across an alien species, you're able to talk to them. And you can communicate to them through audio or video. In other words, like hailing them. Put them on screen. And then it says the ship gets 3 standard SVS combat actions and can be formed by stationed crew members. That has to do with space combat, which we're not going to get into. Stations 3, I already just said like 1,000 times, it stations 3 people. Limit 1 bridge per ship. That means once you purchase this bridge, you can't purchase another bridge. And then reboot system time, 6 combat rounds. I'm not going to get into that. This card is called an SIC, a ship item card. But now, this is an important thing. Energy costs 2. This thing doesn't have any power. How do you get power, you may ask? Well, you need an engine. Let's look at the level 3 engines. Probably going to want a level 3. I'm just guessing. 3. So each level of engine is going to have different types. There's EN, AU, AE, and EA. Starts off EN. This provides 29 EN. That's energy. This is an energy engine. This provides 15 AU. This is an auxiliary engine. This is an EA engine. It provides both with a priority on energy. So it provides 19 energy and 5 AU. And finally, The AE engine provides priority on auxiliary power. This one provides 9 energy and 12 AU. I think the EA engine is a nice, safe one to go with. It provides you with a decent amount of energy and a little bit of auxiliary power. So we're going to purchase that. However, every ship is different. You might want something completely different. Okay, so I've decided to purchase the EA Engine 3. This costs $8,650. The size is a 3x3. So on my map, I'm going to choose this 3x3 area as the engine. So the EA Engine 3. Now what this does is it provides 19 energy and 5 auxiliary. So I'm going to put that up here. 19 goes to the right. And what did I say for auxiliary? 5? So the bridge costs 2 energy. So I've used 2 of the 19 energies. Alright, so because the bridge needs power. Not everything needs power, but the bridge needs to power. And you can't have something powered on without energy. So we got the bridge, we got the engine. So what's next? Thrusters. So this ship is not going to be able to move unless it has thrusters. So I skipped a step, and that is the scale rank and total squares used. Total squares used, we already determined that was 24. So 24 has a hull size modifier of +5 and a scale rank of 1. Scale rank goes down here, and hull size modifier, that's a pretty important deal. So because the hull size modifier is 5, it's actually at +5. That's good. Smaller ships have a higher hull size modifier. So now we're going to purchase our thrusters, because this thing's not going to go anywhere unless it has a move speed, and it doesn't have move speed. So how are we going to give it move speed without thrusters? Let me get rid of these numbers. These are annoying me. Let's see, 3, 6, 5. Oh, all right. I'm going to start off by giving it 1 thruster. I'm going to buy 2 different thrusters. We'll give it the smallest thruster first. The exhaust thruster 1. It costs a measly 200. So there we go. It has a size of 1x1 EXT, which means it's on the exterior of the ship. So I'm going to put it out here, and it's a 1x1, so it's pretty small. I'm just going to put a little, I'll put it right here so it's kind of easier to see. Put a little exhaust thruster 1 right here. Maybe some flames coming out of it. So there's our thruster. It's a basic propulsion system used to project the ship forward. More effective speed and less cost than ionic pulse thrusters. Ionic pulse thrusters, those are in Series B. We don't got to worry about those. A max of 4 thrusters may be purchased for each ship. We're purchasing 2. The impulse is +1. I'm sorry, 1 plus your hull size modifier divided by 2 rounded down. My hull size modifier is +5. Divide that by 2 rounded down, you get 2. This thing gives 1 plus 2, so that's 3. Impulse is 3. It's really, I'll say that again since it was kind of a mouthful. It's not complicated. But exhaust thruster 1 gives you a +1, and all thrusters have a modifier of your hull size modifier divided by 2 rounded down. So if this, like I said, if this was a negative number from a large ship, it would reduce your bonus. So you'd have to have bigger thrusters. So now let's buy thruster 2. This has an energy, well, this is a 2x1 exterior. So that means I'll put it right here. This is the exterior of the ship. So a little bit bigger. The fire is not necessary, but you get the idea. This is the thruster right here. Here's another thruster. So 2x1 exterior, and this provides an impulse of hull size modifier divided by 2 plus 2. So that's right. 2 plus 2 is 4. So now we got a 3 and a 4. And that's the exhaust thruster 1 and exhaust thruster 2. Now each one of these has a cost. This costs 2 for energy. This costs 4 for energy. So I'm just going to add that up right now. That's 6. So we're using a total of 8 energy right now. You following along? Am I going too fast? Alright, so that's all the thrusters we're buying. Let's calculate our move speed. 3 plus 4 is 7. That's our move speed. Now that we have our move speed and the number of thrusters we purchase, we can actually calculate the evade dice, which is actually all right here in this little spot. So the evade dice is the number of thrusters. We have 2 total thrusters. So in this little circle we put 2. And now I look over here at this chart. It says move speed 3 or less D4, 4 to 7 D6, 8 to 11 D8. Our move speed is 7, so we have D6. So our evade dice is 2d6. Okay? Easy? Alright. So, guess what? We just made a starship. We've got a bridge, so we can control it. We got engines, and we have thrusters. So this little ship right here is these 4 cards. That's all they are. But, you might be thinking, well, what do you do if someone's shooting at you? Well, thank God we have 8 of 19 energy used up, because we have plenty of energy extra. We can spend it on other things. Leave me alone, I'm making a video. Actually, we're gonna buy, well, we need life support. I forgot about that, and nutritional supplement. And I'm just gonna throw in some sensors, and I'm just gonna take some cards. The book explains these more, but I'm just gonna buy each one of these and explain what they do individually. Let's get some basic lasers. There's a laser, beam laser 2. All right. So I just grabbed some more essential cards. Technically, this should be fine. You can still, you can pilot the ship. There's no problem. You just might need a space chute because you don't have life support. Life support costs 1,500. It's a 2x2, and it provides temperature control, breathable air, water system, and gravity. I mean, we don't have gravity on our ship right now. This is a 2x2. We need life support. So I'm gonna put life support right here. Life support. So that's kind of essential. You really want life support. So I bought life support. 1,500. Now we're gonna buy nutritional supplement. It's only 850. Not that expensive. It's a 1x1, so I'm just gonna put it right here. I'm just gonna shade it so you know. So this is the 1x1. 1x1. I know it's one square. A 1x1 in this chart is just one square. It's not. You get it. All right. Anyways, it dispenses a thick paste that contains all nutrients required to survive. Available in over 20 flavors, and it requires life support, which we already have. Energy cost is 3. That's 11. I forgot to take away the life support cost, which is 2. So we're already up to 13 of 19. So I'm going to buy Descent Aerofoil. This costs 2 energy. Way cheaper than the other one. And lets the ship enter a planet's atmosphere and fly with wings and propulsion. Basically, your ship can't hover in the air like a UFO, but it can land if it has a landing strip on a planet. There's some extra data here. I'm not going to get into all this, but basically, you can purchase this on the condition that your ship is somewhat symmetrical. And this one, aside from this exterior thing, it's basically symmetrical. So I'm just gonna draw some fake wings here. It's not necessary. It's totally cosmetic. So we have descent aerofoil. Now we can land on a planet. Next thing we would like is to be able to see things. Our ship is completely blind without sensors. Sensors are essential. They're a 1x1, so I'll put them right here. And it costs 675. Still got plenty of money. Like I said, this is a sample ship, so we're doing some basic shit. Hey, guess what? Sensors give us stuff. Sensor dice is 2d6. So 2d6. And the sensor range is 10. And basically it says that you can scan for biological life on a single ship or in a 50-mile radius on a planet's surface. And this also lets you detect other ships depending on their masking level, which I will get into later. Oh, you know what? I forgot to add something. These exhaust thrusters, they make it so the ship is easier to detect. Let's go back to the exhaust thrusters quick. So this one, the exhaust thruster one, has an exhaust of -2, and this one has an exhaust of -3. So I forgot to add record my exhaust. So that's -5 total. That's how other ships are able to detect you, is by detecting your thrusters. Alright, now let's purchase a lock-on system, which is also a 1x1. I'll put it right here. And this one has an energy cost of 1. Did I spend the energy cost for... No. Descent aerofoil, yeah, I already did that one. Alright, so this is energy cost of 1, so this is 16 of 19. Lock-on dice of 2d4. 2d4. Break lock-on difficulty is 13. 1, 3. And that's all I need to write for that. A lock-on system, let's see here. If you detect the ship with your sensors, which I've already purchased, you can then attempt to lock on to your target. To do that, you roll the lock-on dice, which is 2d4, and you go against your target's masking level, which I'll get to later. And if you make the difficulty, you lock onto them. Now, every failed attempt will give you a +1, so even though it's only 2d4, if you keep trying and keep trying, eventually you will lock onto them. Alright, so now that we have a lock-on system, let's purchase a laser. This one costs 1,750. It is a 1x1 exterior and a 1x2 edge. So 1x2 edge, we'll put it right here, laser, and 1x1 exterior, so we'll put that right here. This is the laser. Acquires a locked-on target. Good thing we bought a lock-on system. It deals 2d6 damage. I'll record this stuff down here. Beam laser 2. Beam laser 2. Damage is 2d6. 2d6. And notes, requires lock-on. And the description says, creates a highly concentrated beam of light to damage enemy ships. This weapon is great for reducing enemy shields. Alright, so we have a laser. We have a lock-on system. We have a bridge, sensors, engine. Guess what? Guess what? We just made a motherfucking starship. Look at this thing. Now, the thing is we have one empty room right here. What is this? Well, guess what? That's going to be crew quarters or whatever. Actually, we have one right here too. So we have two empty spots. We could actually fit more stuff, and we've only used, oh wait, how much did that beam energy? Beam laser, how much did that cost? Forgot to incorporate that cost. Beam laser, beam laser, beam laser. Where the fuck is laser? There it is. Energy cost of 2. Look at that. 18 of 19 energy. So we have just enough. I mean, if I made a bigger ship, we could have added more stuff. Let me calculate how much money we've spent. 3. So this ship is tiny and it's cheap. This only costs 38,000. Now let's do the recap. We just made a ship of this shape. I could easily have just changed this, added more squares or subtracted as I went along. It cost 1,000 credits per extra square. But after I made that, I purchased a bridge, which allows me to control the ship, but it didn't have any power, so we purchased an engine. So we had 19 energy. Now I didn't go into the AU. So how AU works is we have exhaust thrusters, and each one of these says 4 AU plus 2 to move speed, usable once per turn. So like for this one, I could spend 4 of my 5 AU and I would get plus 2 move speed. Hooray! Now the beam laser has something else where you could spend 3 AU and deal 1d6 damage. The thing about AU is it refreshes every combat round. So every turn, you're going to get a pool of 5 auxiliary. But going back to what we were saying, is I purchased some thrusters so the ship could move. I purchased an aerofoil, which allows the ship to have some wings so it can glide down to a planet. Life support, so it has breathable air. Some food, basically a replicator. Sensors, so it could detect asteroids and other ships. Lock-on system, so it could lock onto other ships. And a beam laser, so I can actually dish out some damage. I'm not going to get into combat. I just wanted to show how ship creation was made. We don't have any shields, but we do have hull hit points. I didn't write that down. I guess I needed my pencil after all. So it's really easy to calculate a ship's hull hit points. However many squares you used when you created the ship, in this case it was 24, that's how many hit points you have. But Zombie Mouse, you're saying, how come you just don't make a ship that's really big? Well, the hull size modifier is king. That has a huge impact on whether or not you're going to be able to be easily locked onto and how easily people are going to be able to hit you. Quiet you. Also, when you roll evade dice, right now it's 2d6, your hull size modifier, I have a +5. If I had a giant ship, that would be a negative. Like it would be like -4 or something. So 2d6 minus 4, you're not dodging anything. But 2d6 plus 5, you got a good chance. It's a tiny ship, so you're able to dodge it. Now, what this ship cannot do right now is hack. There's hacking modules. It can't travel faster than light. You need larger ships for that. Because fast FTL drives are pretty... Well, this one only costs 2 energy. Some of them aren't so bad. Alright, so you need you can get a warp drive. This one costs 3 energy. It's 2x2. You can get purchase fuel for the warp drives. Dark Veil systems. Now this is something I might want to buy actually. Yeah, let's purchase a Dark Veil system, and then I will end this video. Dark Veil costs 225 credits, which is pretty much nothing. It's a 1x1, which we already said we already had space for, so I'll put DV there, Dark Veil. And this gives me a Dark Veil of 12. Now what that does is allows me to put a 12 right here. And as you can see, the exhaust that I have earlier is -5. So -5 plus 12 is 7, which is right here. Our masking level is 7. Now masking level is used just like the reaction defense from character creation. Remember I said earlier, if you shoot them and your difficulty is 4.5, which is super low, well, shooting this thing, your difficulty will only be 7. So, unless you evade, which is a separate action and a separate. Actually, does the Dark Veil thing cost anything? Energy cost of 2. Oh no! I can't purchase this because that would mean we're using 20 of our 19 energy. Dang it. So I would have to do a little bit of tweaking. I could probably go down to Dark Veil 1, but I'm not going to bother doing that right now. That's how you make a starship. That is how you make a starship. So I just explained how to make a character and a starship in Spaceship Architect. A book that took me about, I don't know, a year and a half or more. Took a long time. But here's the book. I have an entire chapter, like 5-6 pages, with this tiny ass text going through a big long example, going from character creation to a campaign all the way down to the end where they're fighting stuff, and so the example chapter is very handy. Here's some sample starships in the book. There's a bunch of them, and they have their prices. Let's look at Garaga. This one uses all these cards. The ship value is 114,000 credits, which means you wouldn't be able to start with this really. It's just a little bit over your budget. Here's one, Carnage. Quiet you. Let's look at this White Dwarf one. White Dwarf costs 73,000 credits. It uses these cards. It looks like this, and the little squares on the cards represent the different items on the ship. And its stats are, it's got a move speed of, this guy's got a move speed of 11, which is pretty high. Masking level of 1, hull size modifier 2, 38 hit points, 2d6 sensor dice. It looks pretty similar to the one we just made. You know, I forgot to write in those things. 33 energy. So I obviously purchased a much, yeah, that must be the engine right there. That orange thing is the engine for sure. Because, yeah, a lot of the ship is the engine sometimes. 33 energy, that's quite a bit. So, what else we got? Here's a smaller one, transport vessel, pretty tiny. Let's go to Protos. This is the first example one I made. It's looks like this. The right half is one giant engine. It's got a little bridge in the middle, and it's basically like a barbell shaped thing. Here's like an example of what it would look like. You got to use your imagination, right? Like, see these two engines? That's these two. You just gotta pretend, guys. You gotta work with me here. Alright, so this is the ship. These are the cards it uses. It's got a 2d6 sensor dice, 38. Ooh, it's got shields. I didn't realize it had shields. It's got 10 hit points for shields. Now you may be thinking, what are so great about shields? It's only 10 extra hit points. Well, the thing is about shields is if your ship takes 100 damage, if the shields are reduced to 0, all that extra damage is just nullified. So if a giant rocket hit this thing and did a whole bunch of damage, it would deal 10 to it, burst the shields, and then it wouldn't take any additional damage. So shields are pretty handy. You can actually have multiple shields too. You can have 2 shield systems, which sounds overpowered, but you can do it. There's all these different things you can do in this game. And I know it sounds insane, but it's balanced. I made a whole bunch of different ships. I fought them against each other and tested it. Hey, I want to show you the FUBS chart. This is my favorite thing. I gotta talk about the FUBS chart. So, FUBS stands for Funk Up Your Backstory. And what it is you create your character, you come up with a backstory. I'm going to come up with a backstory for Mr. YouTuber69. He had a dark past where he was trapped inside of YouTube, and then he broke free, and now he runs around in spaceships. So let's look at the FUBS chart. FUBS chart. Step 1, roll a D100. All right, so black is 10s, green is singles. So I got 00. I just rolled 00. Okay. This is a bad example, but I don't care. The chances of rolling 00 in this chart are 1 in 100. So we go to the FUBS chart, and it has all these different things on it. So we'll look at number 100. And it's a weird one. I did it on purpose because, it's weird. Number 100 says, you are going to be born 25 decades in the future. Explain how this is possible. So I got to change my backstory. So sometime 25 decades in the future, I was trapped inside YouTube. And then through a weird time vortex, I came into the past. So it's gonna mess up the GM's plot. Let's roll it again. We got a 56. Let's try something a little more tame. I mean, these are designed to fuck up your backstory. So I'm a time traveler from the future, stuck in YouTube. Number 56 says, choose another player's homeworld. Explain why you had to travel there and how you avoided trouble with the authorities. So this backstory, FUBS, says that at some point my character went to Earth. Well, Earth is a bad example. Let's say they come from LV-426. At some point in my life, I went to LV-426 and I had to avoid authorities. So I have to incorporate that somehow into my backstory. I'm going to do another one. 50. 50 says, the sound of, insert sound / song here, drives you mad. Explain why. So I could say that while I was on LV-426, I was tortured by the natives there, and they kept playing the same song over and over and over to try to get into my head. So now when I hear that song, it drives me mad. Alright, you know what? I could talk about this book for hours, I think. Yeah, I literally have just talked about this book for hours. And there's gear you can purchase, a ridiculous amount of weapons, 20 different races, 20 different classes. Here's a map that was created by Guy from How to Be a Great GM. He was nice enough to let me use that. Here's travel times and parsecs, depending on your warp fuel. Seriously though, I could talk about this book forever. This is a good book. You should check it out. I hope you try it. I hope you pick it up. I hope you read it. I hope you enjoy it. And if you've watched this entire video, now you get to see a treat. And that is my hideous face. Hello, I'm Zombie Mouse. I've got an SCP Kickstarter launching in 5 days. This video is about Spaceship Architect. It's not about SCP, the role-playing game, which is a completely different book that I'm working on right now. Needs artwork. I got a Kickstarter to fund artwork. If you made it this far into the video, honestly, I have no idea how you can stand listening to my voice, but this is my third book. I made Creepypasta. I don't think I need a video to explain how to play that one. Maybe I do, though. I don't know. I have Spaceship Architect, which I just talked about for about an hour, maybe 2. Hopefully, if I edit this video down, it's not gonna be that long. Maybe I'll break it up into parts. I don't know. Anyways, this is my basement. I have a cool Invader Zim thing over there. Invader Zim poster there. This really cool 3-dimensional Samus thing I bought somewhere. Anyways. Oh, and I have a cool map hanging on my wall of Silent Hill. This isn't a show and tell, though. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this video. I'm just talking to talk now. I never know how to end these things. So I'm just gonna say Zombie Mouse signing off. I don't want to edit this.